Hello, gentlemen. We're here. Another game week, another deadline stream. Hi to you, Abdullah. Hi, Seb. Hi, Travel. Welcome to the stream. Lots of things to get into today, boys. There's lots of talking points. Lots of things that we could do with the team. But yeah, let's have a look at how we're lining up at the moment. Let's have a look at how we're lining up. So, my dilemma. I feel like I need to get rid of Phil Foden. I don't think I can justify holding on to him. He's 8.2 million and he's just, 2 points in the past 2 weeks. The irony is I think he actually starts against Chelsea and they do look leaky. But my problem then is that in the double game week of 20, even if it goes ahead for City, I think Foden only plays against United. I think there's too much fixture congestion for City at the moment, so I feel like I need to sell him. The question is who? And if I don't sell him to anybody, then I genuinely don't think I can go anywhere, to be honest. I've got the armband currently on Marcus Rashford. I don't know how I feel about this, but, after being able to gain 600k in the past 2 weeks, I feel very, very confident that I could probably go a bit heavily differential here. So, yeah, I've climbed into the top million, Abdullah. I feel like it's really, really positive. These past few weeks have been really good, and I feel like maybe I'm taking 2 steps forward here and 1 step back, but I genuinely believe that this double game week is a trap. I genuinely believe it. I think that if you go and transfer in Chelsea players like Mount or Havertz, I genuinely don't think that they look good enough to warrant a captaincy choice, or from an attacking output, they just don't look good. And then the Fulham players, I don't know. Like, if I had Andreas in the team, absolutely. If I set my team up from the World Cup to have him in this team, then I would be playing him. But I'm not going to transfer him in. It just ruins my future plans, to be honest. So I'm going to have to ride this one out. And I'm thinking it could be a red arrow. Happy New Year to you, Matt. Happy New Year to you, Travel, as well, bud. Welcome, both of you, to the stream. Hello, Doctor. Welcome, mate. And yeah, that's the thing, mate, is that I look at Foden and I see, yes, he's got the explosive potential of scoring those hat-tricks, scoring those double-digit hauls, but I genuinely don't see it being a consistent thing over the season. And the problem is that I just want to remove headaches from this team. I've already removed James. At the end of the day, I don't think he's ever going to come back into my team. I made the mistake again of putting Foden in. I've been burned by him twice this season now, but it was worth the punt. I genuinely felt like it was worth the risk. Now it's just put me in a situation where I can go to a couple of different midfielders, but I just don't feel like Andreas is the play. I feel like I'll be having so much money in the bank with nothing to do with it. And then I've got to play Andreas almost every week. I haven't got enough bench cover to be able to justify bringing him in. So yeah, Seb, I mean, that's the thing. I look at it and I think to myself, this game week, absolutely, Andreas and Mitrovic could do some damage to me. I mean, I mentioned it in the comment on the video that you commented on. I think that they're positive transfers overall, but for my team structure, I'm playing a 3-5-2. If I transfer in both Andreas or even try to get Mitrovic in for Greenwood, I'm basically having to bench one of my top players. Odegaard's been amazing. I'm not willing to bench him. De Bruyne is on the cusp of a double-digit haul, in my opinion. I'm not willing to bench him. So who do I bench to go into a 3-4-3? It just doesn't make sense for me. Doesn't make sense. I think Cancelo starts. I think, again, though, when we look at fixture congestion, like if I just bring up... So here's my reasoning, right? Here's my reasoning. I'm just going to show you City's fixtures over the next few games, right? So we've got... Of course, we know that they've got the double next week based on the FA Cup result, right? But if you look at it, they're playing Chelsea twice within 3 days. So it depends on how much honus Pep's got on the FA Cup. And I'm going to be honest with you, I think at this point, because he's 7 points behind Arsenal now, he's going to want to play his best 11 in the Premier League. So this is where I think Cancelo and Foden start in this fixture here, this week. I then feel like he plays maybe again, and maybe a weakened side a little bit, takes, if he gets through, he gets through. This is 3 days after the 5th. Then 3 days after again, he's also still in the EFL Cup against Southampton. I don't feel like Foden plays this. I don't feel like Cancelo plays this. I feel like he probably plays Rico Lewis and so on. Then you've got Manchester United. Manchester Derby, huge game for Pep and his season potential, right? He's got to get a result there at Old Trafford. And that's a hard stadium to go to, especially in United's form. So I feel like the 14th is when Foden and Cancelo play again. Then we look at Man City Tottenham. I can't see Cancelo or Foden playing both of these games within a 5-day period. So over the next, let's say, 5 fixtures, I know this is Premier League that we're talking about from a fantasy perspective, but you have to take into consideration these 2 fixtures here because it's in between where we want our City assets to play. So the logic for me is get rid of Foden because I think he only plays 2 out of these next 5 fixtures. And this, likewise with Cancelo, I think he won't get the double in 20. I think he only plays against United, and I think he plays against Chelsea this week. That's my logic. So, what's my thoughts on Mason Mount as captain? I just don't feel like there's been enough for Chelsea attack, so I'm not for it. I think there's better options. Everyone is indeed going for Mitrovic, and it's going to be one of those situations where if he picks up that yellow in that first game, I'm laughing because if he gets captained, then I just feel like there's better options even on the single game week. Massive dilemma, Doctor. You've been Ben White, Ramsdale, and Martinelli, but also have Almiron and Trippier. I'm so close to trust Arsenal and bench Almiron. I think it's very, very close indeed. And I guess my view would be, whatever you think the result is going to be, then back the player that plays for that team. I think it's going to be a really tricky fixture, but I think I would back Arsenal at home to do something against Arsenal. The reason I'm playing Trippier is just because of his attacking output. You know, his assist potential is so high that I feel like I don't even care about the clean sheet with him this week. He's blanked 3 times this season. So I just feel like he's a no-brainer, but I would probably play, or I would bench Almiron if I had him, I think. And that's the thing, Abdul, exactly as I mentioned, Trippier is just a bonus point machine. Seb, what do you think Darwin to Kane move? I think you can hold fire with that move, especially as Ben Crellin now has revealed that Liverpool is likely potentially could have a double game week in 21, which would be really, really good because that would probably enable me to stay onto Darwin. All of the sellers, of course, miss that double game week. I can then jump onto Salah as well if I feel like I want to sell KDB at that point. So I feel like holding on to Darwin is okay for now. I think Kane will be better targeted around maybe 23, 24 onwards, and I think you can hold him for the season then. I agree he didn't look like himself against Villa, but it's very difficult on this. Like I say, the fixture congestion at the moment is crazy. So, you know, you just don't know what impact these minutes are having. And I agree, mate. I genuinely believe that Darwin is going to have, he's got a double-digit haul in him. I think it's a mistake going down to Mitrovic just to target the double game week. I genuinely do. It's got nothing to do with the yellow cards. It really hasn't. Like my concern is it's more about the fact that it's Fulham and, Mitrovic, yes, he's probably the heart of it, but I don't want their assets long-term. Like, I don't understand the move. If it was a free hit week, I'd have him in my team, but it's not a free hit week, so I just can't do it. I think the other situation is for my team personally, I can't get to Mitro in one move, so I'd be much more tempted to do it, but I'm definitely not going to get rid of Darwin. Absolutely not. Team news confirmed Robertson is out, Tsimikas is in, no other change than that. Yeah, I think that was probably going to be happening. Robbo did look like he took quite a significant knock, right? Yeah, Doctor, I think that's a great shout, mate. I think that's a great shout. Look, Haaland only got 6 points. Trippier got 8. Could have had more than that. He could have ended up actually on 12, 15 points. If you watch the team selection video, Newcastle could have beat Leeds 3-0 easily. It's just on a different day, those chances that Trippier creates go in. They just didn't on this occasion, right? So I think Trippier was a great captaincy shout for you. You've done the differential before. This is why I'm feeling that Rashford might do something. I think Haaland could do some damage against Chelsea as well. But genuinely, I think this is a man that's in form for Man United. And this is here's another little statistic, right? On Scout, this isn't obviously a plug because they don't sponsor me in any way or anything, but this genuinely is the best website for me to use for fantasy football stuff, right? I absolutely love it. If we have a look at the team statistics for Bournemouth, right, I just want to showcase that with Bournemouth, on the left flank, they have conceded 266 crosses, and the chances conceded, they've conceded 76 chances. So I feel like Luke Shaw and Rashford this week, or it could be an absolute monster double up. Right, this is why the captain, both of them, as a obviously we know Rashford doesn't cross all the time. He normally cuts in, right? But in terms of the chances conceded, this is the exact statistic that we want. So I don't know. I just feel like maybe going against the grain here is the right move this week, where captaincy is so split. I feel like if I'm going to go against Haaland, this is when I do it. So just an interesting stat that I looked at yesterday, and I thought, you know what? I feel like I'm going to end up captaining Rashi. So let's see what happens. And I feel good about that because I'm a United fan as well. I just want to see him do so well. Seb, maybe you're going to go into game week 20 Mount to Gakpo. Interesting. I think Klopp, though, said that Gakpo would be ready for about Wolves, right? The Wolves fixture, is it? So I think he's not going to be ready until here. So I think it's a bit of a risk going for him that early. He potentially could start against Chelsea at home. Maybe we see him a little bit earlier. But I'm not 100% convinced that he comes straight into the lineup, mate, if I'm honest. I think Klopp's going to want to work with him and fitness, essentially, to get him up to speed first. How are you, George? How you doing, bud? Good to see you, mate. Abdullah, what about Andreas as a captain? Well, again, if we go to Scout, this is an interesting thing. When we were talking about captaincy of Mitrovic, when you look at my my stats tables and you have a look at midfielders, there's pretty much no other midfielder other than Pereira that's created so many chances, right? He's actually just under De Bruyne here. He's second on the list in total. He's created 4 big chances and 41 chances. So I actually feel like Pereira could be a very, very good captaincy shout. Very, very good captaincy shout. But for me personally, again, like I said, because I'm in this 3-5-2 structure and I feel like I'm going to prefer that at least until the next wild card, it's difficult for me to go from Foden to him because then I have to play Andreas or obviously Greenwood or one of my spare defenders, meaning I will end up playing a 4-4-2. And I don't want to play a 4-4-2. The defensive options this season aren't as good, in my opinion, and the value picks I've gone for aren't that great. But here we are. Pereira is an absolute monster in terms of creating chances, right? He provides a tremendous amount of value. Of course, his minutes per XGI are around every sort of 3 games that you expect. So I'm expecting that he gets at least 1 return. You know, he might explode. It might be a fantastic option, but for me personally, it doesn't work long term, and I have to keep with my my game plan, my long-term game plan. It doesn't work for me to go to Andreas, but I do like him as a captaincy option. Klopp meant Wolves in the Cup. Not Wolves in the league. Fair enough. That makes more sense. You think that this week we might see rank rise and rank fall because of captaincy headaches? I agree, but that's why I feel like I can take the risk with George as well. I think this fixture is the perfect storm for Rashi to go and get an absolute haul. Right, we've seen it already, I know, but I just think he can do the damage again. He only played 45 minutes against Wolves. I just think it's great. I think it's a great option. Doctor, you like your captain play early. It relieves me so Salah versus Brentford. It looks tasty, but I can always guarantee 12 points by captaining Shaw. That's true. I mean, I don't think Bournemouth are going to score against us at Old Trafford. With Martinez back as well, I genuinely think he's going to be absolutely buzzing after winning the World Cup. So he's going to want to keep a clean sheet. He's an absolute beast. So I think you're right. Shaw could be a great captaincy differential as well, but I just feel I always back the attackers. I don't think I ever captain defenders. Mitro, Mount, or Pereira? I personally would go with Pereira. That's just me though. Like again, you have to make that decision. Mitro is of course on penalties. Pereira's on more set pieces overall. I personally think that Mitro is a bit of a trap. I mean, a lot of people disagree with me. They'll just think, well, he's risen in 0.3 million for a reason, right? So many people have brought him in, but because of my structure, a lot of people went with Martial to begin with, and I understand the Martial to Mitro move. I would definitely do that if that was me. But because I haven't got him, I haven't got the option to do it, that's why Andreas gets the nod. Hope Darwin scores a hat-trick after missing so many chances. That would be really, really sweet. That would be really, really good. So what are my transfer plans? Bringing in Mitrovic? No, I don't think we're going to be going for Mitro, bud. Like I say, I've been speaking about it in depth. I just don't think Fulham assets long-term for me are going to be an option. I genuinely believe that I'm probably going to go someone like Rodrigo or just roll the transfer. You had 2 free transfers and you went Carvalho to Mount. The risk didn't pay off. Have 1 more free transfer to go. Yeah, indeed. I mean, look, at the end of the day, the risk didn't pay off, but I understood the logic when you went for him, to be honest. I still think that it was kind of a valid option. The logic was there. It just, like I said, in this game, sometimes you just have to concede or accept the losses, right? And just it's the same situation I'm in with Foden. What didn't pay off, I feel like it was worth the risk because of City's fixtures, and here we are now. So I feel like I'm going to transfer him out. So if you've got 1 free transfer to go, George, what's your other option, or are you thinking about taking that into 20? If Mitro gets booked against Leicester, he's suspended against Chelsea. Yeah, indeed. Indeed. And that's the thing. I don't feel like the yellow card is too much of a problem for me. I think there is obviously there's always going to be a possibility that he gets it, but I don't think that's the reason why I'm put off with him. Like I say, it's just longer term. I'm not willing to restructure my squad for this particular game week. If this was, a much better double, I feel like I would target it. And I just think people are being blinded by it. Like I'm definitely somebody that gets on board with doubles. I always tell people to plan for it. Don't use your chips until you reach doubles. This is essentially the first one that we've had. So I'm just not convinced. I'm just not convinced that Mitro is the play. Is Wilson starting this game week, SJ? I'm not convinced that he will, but I think he's not flagged anymore, right? Like, I feel like if as long as he's not flagged anymore. So he's played 26 minutes against Leeds. Okay. Did he pick up a yellow? He did. Okay. I think he starts. I mean, I feel like I would maybe do Wilson to Mitro though. I feel like if I'm a Martial owner and I'm a Wilson owner, I feel like that move is happening. Doctor, hear me out. I might bench White. Why? Because I believe he will get benched. Arteta piss himself against big sides like against Liverpool. He'll play Tomiyasu. Potentially. I think that's good logic, to be honest. I mean, Tomiyasu needs the minutes, right? So maybe White took off just before 60 minutes. You've got a gut feeling we might see a goal from Andreas. I agree. I feel like Andreas is more of a threat than Mitro this week to me overall. I'm not going to lie. I genuinely believe that. George, you want to get off Foden. Thinking Foden to Martinelli would mean you have 3.4 million spare. I like that move. I mean, have you got Odegaard? I would definitely consider that as well. I think Martinelli and Odegaard are definitely the Arsenal attackers that I'm going to have long-term in my team. The only question mark over Martinelli is the Emil Smith-Rowe situation. When he comes back, how many minutes does he take from Martinelli? That's my only concern. Abdullah, what about Ivan Toney? Is he injured? I think the comments from Thomas Frank were that he is available, but I wouldn't read too much into that because available is very different to starts, right? I think he's a great option. Again, though, if I was an Ivan Toney owner, I think I would probably go to Mitrovic. It's the obvious play. And it makes sense. If you've got someone that's 50% flagged, that's a question mark, that might have only 30 minutes in him, if any at all. So why not just use a transfer and get somebody that's doubling? That makes sense to me. But look, I mean, this is a website I talk about a lot on this channel. And I'm hoping that some of you have taken the advice on going on it, because it genuinely does change the level of thinking, right? This is the situation that I'm in. If I went Foden down to Andreas, that was game week 18, sorry. So if we go to game week 19 and we go Foden to Andreas, my issue is here. Although I've got 6 million in the bank, which is absolutely ridiculous. Of course, I could use that money very, very smartly, I suppose, later on. My issue is then I have to play Andreas pretty much every week up until getting rid of him. Do I like him against Newcastle away? No, I don't. Would I play Bueno at West Ham to home? Probably. I could do that. But then, like I said, I'm instantly in the 4-4-2 situation. I'm also playing Luke Shaw as a potential double game week. So I could maybe go Andreas instead of Shaw if he doesn't double. City at home is going to be a difficult fixture. But the depth of my bench is so weak that I can't justify going for him this week as well. Then I look at 21. Tottenham at home for Fulham. And Shaw's got Arsenal away. Then I've got Man City away for Bueno. I've got Greenwood at home to Brentford, who probably doesn't play at all. So instantly, the 3 weeks that I'll be possibly using this transfer for, which I always mention when you transfer someone, I don't think you do it for 1 week. You always look for 3, 4, potentially even 5 weeks ahead. So the better move for me, and this is why I know this is going to maybe cause some bit of a headache or controversy, is that I really like the look of Rodrigo. I just think over these next few weeks, he plays Villa away, he plays West Ham at home in 19 there, and he plays Brentford at home. And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but if there's a situation in the FA Cup where Leeds, I think there's some situation where potentially they could double, right, against United. But I'm not 100% sure. But that's where my level of thinking is that's why I've come to this planner and I've had a look and said Andreas doesn't fit the bill for me. Doctor, my bench is so strong. Could you check my team to see if I should bench boost? Got an amazing bench, 42 in your league. Let me have a look, bud. So Cancelo Mikalenko is playing Wolves, right? Or Brighton at home. Okay. Yeah, not Wolves. Why did I think that? Bailey, not a bad fixture against... so Villa have got Wolves. I knew... Yeah, okay. I think it's not a bad option. I mean, you've got Leicester at Fulham. Oh, sorry, at home to Fulham, which I think is a good option. The only thing with bench boosting now is just that there's not enough... There's double game weeks that are coming in the future. I feel like you could easily hold that chip. I think there's plenty of opportunities where we're going to be able to get on board with it with a bench boost. So I feel like it's good. I feel like your bench is good enough to do it. But me personally, I wouldn't do it yet. Seb, you have Kepa, Ward, White, Cucurella, Shaw, Trippier, Bueno, Mount, KDB, Rashford, Andreas, Almiron, Mitro, Darwin and Haaland. So every week I could just bench Ward, Bueno, White or Cucurella, Andreas. Yeah, that's true. But the thing is, you see how strong your bench is. Like, see how much of a headache you potentially have with that. You've literally got like a team of 15 really good picks. You've taken a -4 to get in Mitro and Andreas for this week alone, but then you're talking about potentially benching Andreas moving forward. I'm just, like I say, I'm just not convinced with that move personally. But hey ho, Abdullah, you've made a decision benching Foden, Cancelo, Almiron and Ward. Fair enough, mate. Fair enough. I think both of Foden and Cancelo do start though. If for what it's worth. But that's the thing now, I've just seen your whole team. You're starting Kepa, Shaw, Trippier, Dunk, Cucurella, Andreas, Mount, Rashford, Martial, Darwin and Haaland. You've got a good enough team to be able to cover it. So I like that, especially if you're rolling into 20. Matt, could you check out my team? 4th in the league? Sure, let's have a look. That's Tom, sorry. Okay, so you're probably going to go Kepa, you're going to play Trippier, Dunk and Cancelo, I assume. I don't know if you play Creswell. I mean, it's not a bad fixture for him. I did mention that, I felt it was a differential pick, and him against Leeds could definitely provide something, but I'm not sure. It's a tricky one. So maybe Dunk, Cancelo, Trippier. Foden's the one that I would look at maybe moving on. I like the Nketiah pick. I still think he's worthwhile keeping. Martial potentially, or Nketiah, I suppose, could be Mitrovic. Depends on... So you've only got one free transfer, I assume, because you've already used your transfer. The way I see it is you go Foden to somebody. Well, no, because you're going to be playing Andreas. So I think your move is Martial or Nketiah to Mitro. If I was in your position, I feel like Mitrovic would be fine in this team. Sorry, I didn't scroll down a little bit. So yeah, Andreas, I think, on for Foden. You play Dunk, Cancelo, Trippier, and you bring in potentially even there's an argument that you could play Patterson if you're not sure about clean sheet potential. Maybe put him first bench in case Cancelo gets benched again. But I think Mitro's your move. George, you've convinced me with Rodrigo. Honestly, I feel like he's flying under the radar, my friend. Like, I can't stress enough that if we go once again into the statistics of these players, right? I go into my stats tables, I have a look at midfielders, and honestly, Rodrigo is so surprisingly good in terms of his XG. Now, I don't know, this is XG non-penalty. I think this is across all the games played so far. I'm not sure if this is future, but he's at 4.84. Right, he's had 11 chances created, 2 big chances. He's scored 9 goals this season with 1 assist. I genuinely feel like when you're looking at the table, so again, we'll have a look at the Premier League table. You have a look at what Leeds are doing at the moment, right? They have to win this game, in my opinion, against West Ham. They want to be, 16 points. They're only 2 points adrift now from Forest. Forest picking up that point, very important for them. Look, West Ham are on a really bad streak here. They're on a really bad streak. And I only feel like Leeds can sort of come back from this draw at Newcastle. They're going to be pumped up for that they didn't get a loss there. I feel like they're going to be ready to get some points on the board. Genuinely, I see them over the next few fixtures doing something really, really... Or the team and Rodrigo being part of it. So I'm glad I've convinced you, mate, because I feel like sometimes I'll go a little bit crazy mentioning these players. people are so honed in on the double game week, and I'm just not sure on it. FPL Boo Boo, number 2 in the league. Do you need to transfer Havertz or Mitro in for Martial or Rashford to Mount? Play Bueno and Patterson, poor defence. Let's have a look. I don't think you get rid of Rashford, bud, at all. You definitely don't do that. You definitely keep Rashford. Bueno's a bit of a tricky one, to be honest. Against Villa away, this is a bit of a weird fixture. It's a West Midlands derby in the UK. I'm not 100% sure that that he keeps a clean sheet. Yeah, your defence is in a bit of a pickle, I suppose, here, because you're probably going to be forced to play at least Ben White and Trippier. I think you go Wilson to Mitro, maybe. I don't think you back Havertz. I genuinely don't think you back Havertz. I think you back Mitro out of the two of them. And I think then, what have we got? We've got Brighton for Everton, haven't we? At Goodison. It's really tricky between these two, mate. Between Bueno and Patterson, it's really tricky. George, my only problem with it, I'll have 3 mil spare in the bank with nothing to do with it. 3.7 million. Yeah, it's also kind of my issue, right? Like I would have so much money that I don't really know what to do with it. But I'm kind of okay with that, because if we get more news for double game weeks for game week 20, because bear in mind, game week 20 is like 10 days after today, right? We've got a lot of time for announcements, situations to change. So I feel like having the money might be really, really good. Armin, hi Dan, hope the stream is going well. You joined a bit late. No problem, mate. You join when you can, when suits you, my friend. But yeah, stream's going well, mate. Stream's going well. Thank you for joining. Abdullah, who should you captain? Listen, I mean, Haaland's always going to be, I think he's an inevitability. So I think he gets 1 goal against Chelsea. You've also got Mount, Rashford. You've got Andreas there. I think if you want to be a little bit different but still want to target a double game week, then you go Andreas or Mount. But I think Mount's risky because the City game, I think, is a bit of a write-off. I know it's a home game, but I just don't see it even as a match for Chelsea. They didn't show me anything against Forest. So I really do think that Mount's not the pick. I think Andreas, if you want to go differential, and Haaland, if you want to stay true to the Norwegian Viking. Me personally, though, I'm going to go a bit differential with Rashi, I think. Foden to Rodrigo would be the move for me. Then it would be upgrading a defender with a spare budget, probably. Dan, can we have a poll? I'm not sure I can actually do it, to be honest. I don't even know. I'm rubbish with this stuff, mate, because I still haven't engaged with your audience. Start a poll. Ask a question. Who should... I mean, we've only got 7 viewers, so I'm not too sure that this is going to do much justice for you, bud, but we'll... I'm not going to include Haaland in this because I think he's the obvious decision. I'm not including Rashford as well. This is more for the double game weekers only. I'm just going to throw that out there. You're thinking about starting trips, Patterson and Creswell, and bench Foden, Cancelo and Dunk and roll the transfer. I mean, that is a brave move. I do feel like Cancelo starts against Chelsea, but, you know, I think rolling the transfer into 20 could be an absolute huge situation, genuinely. I think we get more announcements in that time frame, and I think you can probably do a lot with your team. So I like it, Matt. I like it. SK, get on Tete, fella. Cleaning and assist coming, potentially. I just think long-term, again, though, with Fulham, I'm just not convinced by it. That's why, bud, I'm just not sure. Seb, is Odegaard or Martinelli instead of Mount in game week 21 a good option? Yes. Definitely. I'm looking at... Is that... Let me just check again. Is 21 when Chelsea play Liverpool? Yes. That's exactly when I was looking at taking Mount out to Martinelli or Saka. So I think it's a good option, mate. It's a good option. George, Nunes might be a decent captain shout. Yeah, I'm doing it. What are you doing? Captaining Nunes, or was I talking to you at some point? Sorry, I've gone on for a little bit of a tangent maybe. Do I bench Cancelo for Almiron? Oh my God, I mean that is a bit of a tricky one. I guess it depends with the Newcastle-Arsenal fixture. Like, which way do you see it going? Do you think this is going to be like a score draw? Do you think Newcastle are going to really show up against Arsenal and just, try and stop them from, going too far ahead of City? What do you think the outcome is? I think if you think that Newcastle can do something against Arsenal, then I back Almiron over Cancelo. City have only kept 1 clean sheet in 5 games. So Mitrovic is pretty much, by a long stretch for this poll, the winner. 55% of the viewers, I mean, we've got 10 viewers, I don't know how many people voted, I think it was 8 or 9, are thinking that Mitrovic is the best captain. Good luck, boys. Good luck. That was me on a tangent. I meant I'm doing it with the Rodrigo transfer. Good man. Good man. I think I'm joining you, mate. I think I'm joining you. Should you start Foden over Martinelli? I just don't know. Like, Foden this week for me, it's such a headache because I genuinely believe he plays this match. I genuinely believe that he starts. I know I said that about Everton, but when I look at the fixtures now long term for City, I can see what Pep's done. Pep's done this for a reason. He's wanted to obviously back the best 11 that I think he can field against the bigger teams. I think you go Martinelli, mate. I genuinely think that Foden's so risky. Even though I'm saying that, it's just... Yeah, I'm going to transfer Foden out, so I just start Martinelli. Trippier over Bueno or Patterson? Trippier, definitely, sir. Definitely. 0% for Mount. Yeah, I don't back him. I really don't back him to do enough against City and Fulham to be a captaincy. I'm just happy owning the points that he gets, right? There's going to be some people moving for him now. Maybe his price goes up a little bit. I don't know what the situation will be, but the fact that he's already bagged that 10-pointer in the first game week back, I think has helped his cause to some degree. But that showing against Forest was definitely a disappointment. Seb, so your team is Kepa, Trippier, Cucurella, Shaw, KDB, Rashford, Mount, and Andreas captain with Haaland, Darwin, and Mitro Vice. I think, look, mate, it's a good squad. It's a good squad at the end of the day. I think Andreas captain could be a massive shout for you guys. I just genuinely prefer him over Mitro. I think if you're going to back a doubler, go for Andreas, in my opinion. Anyway, how far are we to the deadline? Right, 25 minutes. I'll probably make the move in about 10 minutes. I think it's going to be Foden to Rodrigo. I'm just going to update the my transfer potentially. George CFC, should you start Andreas for Martinelli, Odegaard, KDB or Rashi? Oh my God, mate, that is such a tricky one. I think you bench Martinelli and you probably go Andreas, Odegaard, KDB and Rashi there, mate. Bueno might start over Dunk for you. Look, I think if he plays that cheeky situation where he goes off at 60 again and bags a clean sheet, because Wolves did look better defensively, I must admit. They're definitely going to be on the up. They're a team that's going to be improving. I just think with West Midlands derby, though, there's goals in that game, which just it errs me on the edge of caution with Bueno. Like, I could start him over Estepinian, but I'm just not sure. I'm not sure. Everton are a team that want to get out of the relegation zone. They're, Goodison Park, on the back of a fixture against City where they got a point. They're going to be pumped up for this game. So I can see it. I can see Everton scoring against Brighton for sure. Matt, maybe you transfer Creswell out and Shaw in, but the thing is you've transferred Creswell in last game week, so it's a bit useless. Yeah, I mean, he was definitely a differential pick for me. Over the next few weeks, I think that his chance creation, again, if we go to, if I show you again with Scout, I know I keep plugging this website all the time, but honestly, it is the site. It just is. I've created all these stats tables for myself to kind of look at. And when you look at expected goal involvement, Creswell's here, right, in terms of the list. So only Trippier, Trent, Perisic, Robbo, Gabriel, Castagna, Ben White and Shearer ahead of him. So I don't know. I still feel like he's a justified pick longer term. So I think you probably just keep him, mate, to be honest. That's my kind of advice to you, I suppose, is don't waste the transfer because, like you say, it's just long term. Just play him when you feel like he's going to do something. But he's up there in terms of chance creation. George, are you captaining Haaland or someone else? You want to captain Mitro, but he's on 4 yellows. Look, I think there's always going to be a risk with Mitro and his 4 yellows. I think that Fulham's output, he's definitely at the heart of all the attacking output. Rubbish on penalties, though, to be honest. He's 50-50. Of course, he's still on them. So, there's a shout that you still back him on that scenario. I just feel like, I think I'm going to go Rashi, mate. I genuinely think I'm just going to go Rashford. I think this is a man that's, Ten Hag is just, he's a genius. He's an absolute genius. Like, he's put this discipline in place for all of it. And this is what makes it so clear to me now that Ronaldo was such an issue for us. Because Ronaldo couldn't take the fact that a man that maybe hasn't achieved as much as what he perceives in his career, or what he perceived as, this man is telling me to do something, I don't agree with it. He threw his toys out the pram. Rashi's obviously been late for a team meeting and he got benched. It's his informed player and he's benched him. What does that tell you? That tells me that this discipline in this team is going to be far, far superior this season to anything we've seen for United for probably 10 years plus, to be honest, since we last won the Prem. I genuinely think this is the best decade, or the best I've seen United in the last decade. Other than Spurs with Ollie, when we had some really good bounce backs. The PSG game sticks out and stuff like that. But I genuinely think that Rashford captain is a great option. Seb, you think Andreas will get those points? And if Mitrovic blanks and gets a yellow in that Leicester game, you could get a massive green arrow. And this is the point. The upside of taking the risk is huge. Not everybody will agree with me, and I know that. And this is what makes FPL so great, because we haven't had a captaincy differential option for a long time. Like, Haaland has pretty much been the no-brainer for me for a long time. And I'm finally at a point where I feel like I can trust United enough. And this fixture against Bournemouth looks so spicy for me. You hope Mitro gets a red. Could you imagine? Could you imagine that? Not only just, oh my God, that would be absolutely joyous. George Kent, Kepa, Trippier, Dunk, Shaw, Rashford, Mount, KDB, Martinelli, Rodrigo, Nunez, Haaland, Bueno first sub. I think that's a really strong side, mate. I think, like I said, Dunk and Bueno argument, or the option between them, there's still maybe time for you to make that decision. I think Everton away is going to be a tricky fixture, but then so is Villa away for Bueno. It's not an ideal scenario to be in, to be honest. Hi, Tanoki, welcome back, mate. Welcome back. Starting off 2023 with a bang, then I see, mate. Start as you mean to go on. Hope it was a cracking night, mate. Back to suffering with FPL. Trust me, we are in this boat together, my friend. We are well and truly in headache territory this week. But I'm confident. I'm confident now that this is gonna pay off. 5 more minutes and we're going to confirm a transfer probably, but am I really going to go for Rodrigo? And Rashford captain as well. I'm either going to come away from this game week looking like an absolute genius or a complete troll. There's no in between here. With the two options that I'm potentially going with here, from Foden to Rodrigo and Rashford captain, this could be disastrous. But I'm willing to take the gamble, boys. Zeetzy, thoughts on Sterling? You know, I think if I was in a position where, if I didn't own Mount, maybe I would do it. Maybe I would do Foden to Sterling if I didn't own Mount. But I just don't trust Chelsea's attack enough. I just don't trust them, mate. I just don't trust them. So I'm just not on board with it, I'm afraid. I think longer term, you get rid of him anyway, and he's such a weird price point. It's just, I don't know, it's hard to get to the premium, and then it's, you downgrade him. I'm not sure. You tweeted the team. Can I check it out? Sure, Seth. I'll give it a look in a minute. Had an absolute blunder yesterday when I was making a draft. My cat pressed the confirm button. I transferred in Cucurella for James. Oh, mate, what a killer. I don't think it's a bad transfer, though. That could have been anyone, right? That could have been anyone. What about Rolling? Yeah, I've thought about it. I thought that obviously Foden against Chelsea is a possible starter, but then just if I start Foden and he goes and scores a brace or he does something, I'm going to be tempted to then keep him for game week 20. And the problem is, I think I watched Raptor's video yesterday and he summed it up perfectly. The problem with Phil Foden is, when do you actually get rid of him? He's always going to tease you with that point of like, okay, I'm starting now. I'm going to get that nod from Pep, and then he misses one of the games or something. I just feel like I can't do it. You wish you were joking, but I honestly don't think it's that bad. Cucurella's doubling at the end of the day. It's not an ideal transfer. I would have probably said Luke Shaw's the better one, but I think the James selling situation. This is why I did it last week. I didn't see the sense in rolling for this week when I was just going to... I wanted to bag at least some of the points, right? Which is Botman got me the 6. Your captain in Rashi Syed. Welcome to the club, mate. Welcome to the club. Zitzi, De Bruyne to Sterling and Greenwood to Mitro, and maybe Sterling captain. I don't know, mate. I feel like De Bruyne just... This potentially could be the game for him against Chelsea. Let me have a look, Seth, at your tweet, bud. Let me just look on the phone before I forget. I can't see anything, mate. Nothing's come up on my phone, at least. Anyway, I don't know if I'm missing something. You have a devil on my shoulder telling me to captain Andreas. We've had this conversation in the stream, Tanoki. I think I would captain Andreas if I had him. Play Kulu or Almiron? Play Almiron, mate, in my opinion. I think Kulu's a question mark, isn't he? Or was he just a one-game injury? I don't know about what news we've had, to be honest, but... What order should your bench be? White, Patterson and Almiron. Almiron first sub, White second, Patterson third. James and Darwin to Shaw and Mitro, or James and Che Adams to Digne and Mitro, or are they better transfers to make? I think Digne is a bit of a strange one, to be honest. I'm not sure I like Darwin out. I think your James and Che Adams move makes the most sense. I just don't know about Digne. I feel like there's potentially better options for you. Maybe not for this week, but I just think you need to go back to the drawing board with it, Seth. Just have a look long term on Digne and whether you trust him longer term. What about Kepa as captain? Nah, not for me, mate. Would you do Wilson to Mitro or Roll? I feel like I would do Wilson to Mitro. It does sound obvious, but I think that's the move I would make. If you get Mitro, you'd have to bench Martinelli and only have one free transfer with Mitro's bad fixture. Okay, that's interesting. I suppose, would you captain Mitro? That's the argument that you've got to maybe make here, is would you captain Mitrovic? If you would, I think it's worth it. He can get many saves against City. True, that's true. Potentially could get the clean sheet against Fulham as well. Maybe it's an option. You see KDB having a great game. He's been creating recently and it's just his chances have been missed. Absolutely. Stones hit the post. We've seen just countless efforts from KDB, man. In a different world, I'm telling you, this man has scored exactly the same as Salah, if not more, over these 2 weeks. Salah scored 14 points. De Bruyne scored 3. It's an 11-point swing, and I feel like De Bruyne being sold this week is a mistake. You think you'll transfer Mitro in for Darwin, Sportcat. You know Darwin does have better long-term fixtures, but you've never had faith in him. And then the next week you can get Saka in for Andreas. Look, I like that move. Andreas to Saka is definitely a massive upgrade. And if you feel like you want to hold Mitrovic longer term, then fine. Just my personal view is Darwin's ready to just get a 20-pointer, mate, to be honest. Seth, best defender under 4.9 million. I actually like Castagna. I like Castagna as an option. I don't know if obviously that works for you longer term, but I think he's a potentially a good option. Of course, you know, Estepinian's in my team. I think Brighton's potential doubles, they could be an argument to come into the team. Arsenal defence, maybe. But I think for this week specifically, I'd probably go Castagna. I think Leicester are going to be all right against Fulham at home. Personally, you think Andreas is the best option? I agree. As cheap as he is, I think he's the best option. And that's the question mark I've got. Do I rate Andreas over Rashford or Haaland? No, I don't. Anyway, let's get this transfer in before I forget, and then I'll come back to the questions. Foden to Rodrigo is happening, boys. I'm doing it instantly. Just like that, we've done it. Differential City, boys. So hope Mitchell does the same thing as Dennis last season. That'd be funny if he gets a red, wouldn't it, really? Syed, Klopp can play Gakpo instead of Darwin. He can, but I don't think that's going to happen, to be honest. I think I'll just captain the hero Andreas and keep Wilson as first sub and have two frees with all the info. I like the move. I like that. Darwin going to get a big one today. Let's hope so, mate. Let's hope so. Seb, yeah, okay. Sport Cat, that's what probably is going to happen, mate. Darwin will score the hat-trick. Yeah, I just think it's that situation with FPL. You transfer someone out and they go and score. It's just, I don't know what it is, but it just feels that way. Like I can definitely go and see Foden going and scoring a brace now. But, you know, I just back Leeds over these next few weeks, to be honest. Darwin is due a haul, absolutely. Tanoki, you would captain Darwin. Is there points given? You would captain Darwin. Is points given for XG? If there was points, given for XG, absolutely. If there was points given for XG, then he'd be my perma captain. Pick 2 out of Trippier, Cancelo, White to start. Trippier and Cancelo for me, mate. I don't back Arsenal to keep the clean sheet over City, to be honest. Maybe I'm wrong, and there's also argument that Tomiyasu may get the nod. Abdullah, team news of Liverpool has been confirmed. Only one change. There you go. George, you're closing my FPL app before I get second thoughts about not captaining Haaland. Well, good luck, mate. I think against Chelsea, he's got a great. He's a great option, to be honest. Armin, do I go Bruno Fernandes to Saka next week? I mean, Manchester United could actually be doubling in 20. There's a 55-60% chance that we double. I think we're just waiting for the FA Cup results, basically, in between game week 19 and 20 to decide what's happening. So I think you just hold fire on that move. Because we could end up playing, I think it's someone like Leeds and City, or potentially we play Palace and City, I think it is, that could be the potential double for us. So I just say hold on to Bruno if that's the case. Dunk, Gabriel, Shaw, Trippier start 3. Shaw and Trippier definitely. I think I back Dunk. I honestly think Newcastle are scoring. Whereas I feel like Everton, you know, I know they're on the back of that draw against City 1-1 and it's at Goodison. I don't know, mate. I think still I would trust Brighton to keep a clean sheet other than Arsenal. I might be way off the mark with that, but that's my initial thinking. Abdullah agrees, I guess. George, should I put Cancelo as sub for White or Patterson, or keep Cancelo as a starter? I think you keep Cancelo as a starter. Sportcat, you understand Mason Mount is not a good option, but it's very hard being a Chelsea fan and not captain him. Yeah, mate, I understand the bias. I get it. Look, I've got the armband on Rashford, so I get it. I just don't think it's a logical choice this week. Abdullah, should you go Haaland to Mitro, having serious doubts? Nah. Nope. Side, I don't understand the obsession with Foden. He hardly plays and scores big points. Stop listening to the mainstream FPL media. Indeed, mate. Like I think the problem with him is that like his statistics are so good. Like when you look at the underlying stats for all of the players that you want to bring in as a midfield option, you know that it's 5 points per goal scored, right? You with a team like City that creates so many chances, you ideally want triple City attack. And this has been the pet roulette game that many people have played for many seasons, and it's just that situation where which City attackers are nailed. You know, when Aguero was in the game, Aguero was just a no-brainer. Then you had like Mahrez coming to the front, Grealish being bought, and then of course Phil Foden coming to the fray. So De Bruyne coming out to be like, you know, one of the best creative midfielders we've seen in the Premier League. You want to get on board with them, so I can see why there's a Foden bias. Just for me, I've made the mistake bringing him in the World Cup wildcard. I'm going to fix that mistake now, and that's why I've sold him. Captain Salah or KDB? I'd captain Salah, probably, if you want to go differential. What outcome from the FA Cup would make United have a double game week? I think it's about the fact that if neither Leeds or United have the replay, because the replay would be played in the middle of game week 19 and 20 or something like that. The midweek would be free, so we could probably have a fixture rearrangement in that week, and we would get that announcement post the FA Cup result, and we've got the best. I think we've got a good chance of doubling. Basically, that's what I'll go with. Trippier over White or Bueno. I think you go Trippier over White or Bueno. That's a tricky one. I definitely think Trippier is better than both of them. I think you go over Bueno and you just hope that it's a 0-0 against Arsenal and Newcastle. I think Trippier's got the assist potential. White, really, you're only going to have him for the clean sheet, in my opinion. George, yeah, apparently the only Liverpool change is Robertson out for Tsimikas. Yeah, makes sense. I feel like Darwin definitely gets the nod. He created so many chances. Like Klopp's he just needs to work with him. He's already come out and said he reminds him of a young Lewandowski. So I just feel like he's definitely going to be in and amongst our FPL teams for a long time. He's just frustrating to own. Tanoki, who should I bench out of Andreas, Rashford, Martinelli, KDB and Foden? You bench Foden, I think, yeah. If you're not going to sell him, you bench Foden. Seth Smoker, Digne or a Brighton defender? What are the fixtures like for Villa over the next... I do like Villa's fixtures, actually, over the next 4. But Brighton have got the potential double game week. So if you can get away with benching the Brighton defender in game week 20, and in 21 there's a likelihood that they double, then I feel like the Brighton defender is the play. But if you can't get away with benching them against Liverpool at home, I feel like then Digne is the play. That's how I would look at that, mate. That would be my logic. Mitrovic captain and Mount Vice, I think I'm going to do. Fair enough. Changed the mind at the last minute, but yeah, man, it's. I think Mitro is still a shout. George, if Foden played for anyone other than City, he's automatically in my team. Yeah, no, I agree. I agree, mate. Sportbat, because Cancelo didn't play last week, you got the 6 points of Bueno, and that increased my rank 200k up to 2.6 mil. You're trying to finish as top 1 mil for my first season. I think that'll be a good finish. Yeah, I think you've got to take into consideration that 11 million players total in the game. I'm probably going to say about 4 million of them, maybe a little bit less, don't really play the game, to be honest. So if you get into top 1 million, you're still, you're way up there. You're top maybe 15%, which is not too bad at all for your first season, bud. I think it's a good aim. Abdullah, there might be double game weeks coming for Man U in 20 and for Man City in game week 21. Indeed, and we already know that game week 20 for City could also be a double, which was why I was hesitant to sell Foden. I'm not going to lie. I feel like the double game week was definitely tempting. My issue is, though, he doesn't play both of them, in my opinion. He only plays the United fixture. I might be completely wrong, but I think he plays against Chelsea this game week. He doesn't play the FA Cup game against Chelsea. He doesn't play in the EFL Cup. And then he plays against United at Old Trafford. That's my prediction. And then he doesn't play against Spurs. Sebastian, sorry, I meant I should start Trippier over White and Bueno. Yeah, I think so. I think you start Trippier over both of those. Do you think Cancelo to Trent is a good option or role? I think with the thing is with Trent, that's an aggressive move, and there is a potential, of course, that Liverpool could double in. I think it's 21. So there is an option to go with that. I think my personal view with it is that their defence at the moment is just shambolic, right? Like they're just leaking. And Trent's he got 1 assist in the last game. I don't think he's been in top form, to be honest, Trent, and it's just so much money to spend. I feel like you roll, Matt, to be honest. I feel like you roll, you wait for more news between now and 20. I actually feel like I wanted to roll. I'm going to be honest. I wanted to wait for more news, but I just can't justify keeping Foden in my team. I don't have enough bench cover for him. Tanoki, I think less than 1 mil even tinker with their teams on a weekly basis. Yeah, probably. Only 10% of the community are fully engaged, maybe. Sportcat, team formation 3-5-2. Kepa, Shaw, Trippier, Cancelo, De Bruyne, Mount, vice captain. Rashford, Martinelli, Andreas, Haaland, Mitrovic, captain. It looks good, mate, to me. It looks good. I mean, I'm anticipating a bit of a red arrow this week because I've gone against the grain on 2 different situations, both a captaincy on the Rashford and the Rodrigo move, but here we are. No, I haven't rolled. I've already locked it in, mate. Hold on, my camera's just gone blurry for some reason. Again. I think it just overheats every now and again. It's my first season. I'm currently 258k. but just watching football for so long helps a lot. Mate, that's a fantastic rank, to be honest, for your first season. Really, really positive. Abdullah, 3 minutes to go before deadline. Yeah, I think I'm happy. I mean, Greenwood first sub for me. I'm not 100% sure on that. Maybe I could go Bueno, but maybe I do this. The only thing is I feel like Greenwood maybe gets some minutes because Bamford's return is more than likely going to be featured in the cup games. But look at this fixture for Leeds, this fixture run for Leeds, man. I feel like this was the play. Right, let's get a screen grab ready for the Twitter post. Good time to pick that nose, absolutely, mate, always. Captain Sterling or Mitrovic? I'd probably captain Mitro over the two of them. I just can't get on board with Chelsea attack. I really can't. 2 minutes to deadline, boys. 2 minutes to the deadline. Right, I haven't plugged the stream yet, but please do consider subscribing. We're at 488 subscribers. The goal, for some reason, isn't updating live, but we're so close to 500 now. Absolutely phenomenal support. So thank you so much for the support, guys. Really appreciate it. Really appreciate it. We're definitely going to get to 1,000 by the end of the season. That's the aim. That is the aim. Right, we're nearly locked. First time since game week 1 not captain Haaland. Well, good luck, mate. Good luck. I don't know if it's the same for me, actually. I don't know who I captained. I think I might have captained Salah at one point. I'm not 100% sure. Ended with Haaland, captain and bench Foden. I think that's a good move, mate. We're all for our attack is so bad and our whole team. I just think that, you know, your whole team isn't awful. You just haven't found good footing yet under Graham Potter. That's the thing. You're off now. Good luck. And to you, Armin, good luck, bud. Thank you for joining, mate. Appreciated. Enjoy the rest of your week and good luck for the game week. Tanoki, you were tempted to go and play Botman and hope the second best defence in the league locks out Saka and Odegaard. Look, it's a smart play, but I'm not sure that Newcastle can do it. Sebastian, good luck to Abdullah, Armin, Dan and everyone else. Good luck to you, Seb. Thanks again for joining, mate. Sportcat, your content is good, mate. You deserve it. Thanks very much. I literally only do this as a hobby, really. I mean, to get to that point by the end of the season would be a massive plus, but I work full time. I've got 2 kids, so for me, it's just it's a bit of fun. I love football. I love this game, so why not make content on it? But yes, good luck to everybody. I think we're probably locked in now, right? Like if I refresh this now, we're locked in. We've done it. This is it. Rashford captain. This is the team, boys. We're going to tweet it out, and we're going to get trolled now. Double game week 19 locked. Foden to Rodrigo. Rashford captain. May the green arrow trend continue. Sorry guys, I'm being incredibly rude, but we're almost there. Boom. Poof. You ended up benching Botman and playing Estepinian. Good luck, my friend. I think it's going to be a tricky one at Goodison Park for Brighton. I genuinely think it's going to be tricky, but we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. Good luck to you, George, as well. This week is either a big green arrow or big red arrow. I think you're right. I think there's going to be no in between. But I really need Rashford to just absolutely smash it. Someone better get Rashford 20 alarm clocks for you. Oh, my God. Can you imagine if he misses the next team meeting? Oh, my God. Only getting 45 minutes against Bournemouth would be absolutely abysmal. I don't think that's going to happen. But, you know, a fresh Marcus Rashford over this busy period for me is an absolute winner. Of course, I've vice-captained De Bruyne anyway, right? So if Rashi doesn't get any minutes, Haaland's going to be the default captain. So, who knows? Who knows? But yeah, I've decided to avoid the Fulham assets. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. So now in the bank, I'm not 100% sure how much I've got. Let me see if I can find it on here. 4.3 million in the bank now, boys. Oh my God. That's so much money to have. So much money. But it could work out. It could work out. He's going to be there early instead. Yeah, you'd hope so. Maybe Rashford was late 45 minutes, so he only played 45. That'd be interesting. But I genuinely think Ten Hag's a genius. He just knows how to control the behaviour of his team. I think we've not had discipline in this squad for a very long time, right? When you had the likes of Henderson and Jesse Lingard and all these individuals, you know, tweeting and having Instagram posts and just making fools out of themselves publicly. Even Pogba to some degree, right, was a bit of a problem. You know, when Ranić was there, when Ollie was there, we've just had a continuation of these bad habits that have been instilled into the club at a root level. And Ten Hag's flushing them out. And that's why Ronaldo had to go. And I'm just really happy that he's done it because I think now we're going to flourish. Freemium is legit possible for me now, yes. I mean, to be honest, there's so many good options in midfield that are budget that I think freemium could be the way that I go. I really want to try and get to Kane, I think. I think Greenwood to Kane, maybe De Bruyne could even become Salah and I could go literally like 3.5 premium or 3.5ium. If I downgraded Mount to someone like Almiron, for example, got a couple of million there, I could go De Bruyne to Salah and I could go Greenwood all the way up to Kane. That could be an insane 3-4-3. And yeah, you could go Darwin as well. So that's another thing. I could actually get rid of Darwin to Kane, De Bruyne to Salah. Maybe Greenwood stays as like a Wilson. Maybe I target the Newcastle attack because I don't have Almiron. My only question is with Wilson, is Isak going to be competing for him? And maybe Isak could be worth a shout, right, on his return. He looked really good. I had him for a couple of weeks. I just think that I've got options, right? And I know that I haven't gone into Game Week 20, with two transfers. I would have hoped to have done that. But again, if I get another green arrow this week, guys, I'm telling you, I'm probably going to attack double Game Week 20 if we get more announcements, and I may even be tempted to take a -4. I would have preferred the 2 threes, but if I get into the top 500k, I'm pushing. I said in my video I was going to be playing more reserved if I got 250, 300k mark to try and get into the top 100k. But as long as I get close to the 500k mark, I feel like I need to continuously play aggressive. Keith, evening work finished, but deadline passed. Yeah. Did you manage to do your team though, Keith? Or have you just rolled? Trent's a possibility, absolutely. You know, I've taken so much money out of the defence now. And also it's worth noting that, of course, the bench boost situation could come. You know, when we're talking about double game weeks being announced, over the next, say, 6 or 7 weeks, we may get some news where it might tempt us into just improving our benches just a little bit with some of this money, for example. And I could easily go into a double game week bench boost and then wildcard out of it if I put money back into the bench. I've always done it the opposite way. Normally I wildcard and then bench boost, but I feel like bench boost into wildcard is always more positive. -4 for a captain option is always work. Yeah, I agree, mate. I agree. I think captaincy on Haaland is probably going to happen, especially if City do double against United and Tottenham. I think that's a no-brainer for me. Triple captain maybe. Game week 23, Villa and Arsenal. It's also that Arsenal fixture is definitely spicy. That could literally decide the Premier League, this fixture. So against Villa at home and Arsenal away, that could prove to be a really good triple captaincy shout. As boring as it is. Keith, all done, just missed stream. Unlucky, bud. Unlucky. It's a killer working bank holidays. I literally used to do it in my old job, and I don't anymore, which is why I'm able to stream. I used to work shifts as well. It's another reason why I started the channel this year, to be honest. My previous job before my current job was 12-hour weekend shifts sometimes. I would never be able to create content like I do now. And then I moved to a Monday to Friday job with a lot more remote working opportunities, so it allows me to create content. Solanke, Almiron and many 4 mil defenders to go. Exactly, and that's the thing. Solanke's a great 5.8 million option. Almiron's a great 5.6, 5.7 million option. I think bench boosts for this season could be the biggest that I've ever seen. Normally, I suck at using them at the right time as well, by the way. Like, I always get like 6 points, 7 points. I think the maximum I've had is like 14. But I see people getting like 30, 40 points. But I genuinely believe that's possible with the double game weeks and the budget options we've got this season. You think you captain Rashford too? Good man. Good man. I just think this is the week to do it. Like, again, maybe I'm crazy. Maybe it isn't the right thing to do. Going against the grain, the double game weekers, all that good stuff. But I genuinely feel like I'm on the right trend. Yeah, I've gained 600k. I don't know, Keith, if you're in a position like I am where you've had back-to-back greens. But if you've had back-to-back green arrows, I think that this is the week to try and continue that trend. But we shall see. We shall see. Yeah, I genuinely can see a brace at least for Rashford, if not a Hattie, mate. I'm so excited that I've captained him. It's going to be such a good watch on that game now. I haven't captained a United player in so long. I think the last one I captained was probably Bruno. I think Haaland blank would be perfect. Oh, absolutely. A Haaland blank could be so important. Haaland blanking, Mitro blanking, Andreas maybe only getting 1 assist. I feel like that would be the perfect storm. And if Rashford obviously goes and explodes, then got to be done. You got a small red this week. Variation's killing me this season. Yeah, it's not ideal. I mean, I had some at the beginning of the season which pushed me into that bloody million territory, which I don't like being in. So I feel like you have to claw back so much over the course of the season. But here we are. We're in the top 1 mil now. Watch United beat Bournemouth 9-0 and Rashford not get anything. Could you imagine, George? It'd be like the Salah situation with the Bournemouth 9-0 as well, right? Was it 9-0 at Bournemouth? Can't remember if it was Bournemouth or not. Was it this season as well? Yeah, it was. Darwin didn't even play then. Haaland blank is not what I hope for, given I have KDB, but then KDB could score. He doesn't need to assist. And KDB could easily assist one of the defenders. For example, like a John Stones or something like that would be perfect. So when Stones hit the post the other day, the perfect storm would be De Bruyne assisting non-Haaland goals. Haaland to blank, De Bruyne maybe to score. There's so many situations though, right? Salah blanking. I mean, the ownership could definitely do some damage to me across many different players, but here we are. You don't mind Haaland's hat-trick because you're a City fan, yeah. Bench Foden and Cancelo, I bet they'll both start. Mate, I predict it. I predict that both of them are going to start this game. You've got White sub, KDB creating big chances, Foden on after 87 minutes, blocking bench points, Mitro missed pens, should have been another 20 points, yeah. Mate, that White substitution was an absolute killer for so many people. I think, genuinely, if Kepa would have kept a clean sheet, if Chelsea would have kept a clean sheet, Mount would have obviously had the clean sheet point of 1. Kepa would have got me about 10 points. So I think I would have been about 10 points better off. I would have definitely been in the top 700k. It would have been another like 180k difference to my week, especially because White got subbed on that 59th minute. Madness. Of course, Mitro missing the pen as well, 0-pointer. It's just... Who would you have first? Who did you have first bench, Keith? Just out of curiosity, who did Foden block? George, Darwin was suspended then for headbutting under Anderson, wasn't he? Ah, yes. Good point. What a twat. Tanoki, if you've got the bench to bench and both, you probably are in a good position. Yeah, indeed. Yeah. I think Mateusz's team is pretty good though overall. Rodrigo to grab a brace. Let's hope so. I think this West Ham game's a really good fixture for them. Genuinely. KDB will get points as I've sold him. Oh, Bud. I don't think this was the week to sell him. Or did you sell him before this week's deadline? White sub was godly for me. Yeah, likewise. White needed 1 more minute to get 6 points. Yeah, it was 5 points. It was 20 seconds. Tanoki, as I moved to Botman. Yeah, same. Obviously, we did that move. You had Andreas blocked by Foden. Unfortunate. Would have been 4 more points, I guess. Well, yeah, 4. Bueno. Oh, mate. 6-pointer. So, yeah, another 5 points there. So, yeah, absolutely. That could have been a 20-point swing for you. As long as it was a small red arrow, though, that's a little bit more positive. Am I expecting a Leeds double? Well, I'm anticipating that there's a chance for them to. But, of course, United have 2 fixtures that could be rearranged. One is against Leeds and one is against Palace, I believe. So, Leeds couldn't be in the mix. If Leeds do double in 20, then that's not a bad fixture at all. Villa and United. All right, maybe the United fixture's not great, but it's not that. I just think Rodrigo's stats, they're just looking so good. And Bamford's not back to full strength yet in terms of fitness, right? And even then, I feel like he probably gets eased in. And with the fact that Leeds are, of course, are in the EFL Cup, I think they're playing Cardiff, aren't they? Or is it the FA Cup? It's either the FA or the EFL. I can't remember which one it is. Let me have a look. FA Cup, sorry. So they play Cardiff. I feel like Bamford might get some minutes here. I don't necessarily feel like Rodrigo misses the West Ham game. I feel like he's got solid minutes here across these fixtures. And to be honest, I just think that, look, his underlying numbers are great. He scored a 13-pointer in game week 16. Obviously, I know you can't see that on screen because my... it's a little bit off centre, but I just think he's got something in him to be worth the transfer. I think Foden might play, but so what? I'm just done with him. Keith, I guess that was a lucky sub as they conceded straight after. Yeah, fed up with City, sold KDB and Foden. Damn, son, who did you go to? George, Bueno was blocked by Foden for me too. So annoying. So annoying. How would I rank Arsenal defender if you were to buy one in 21? I would probably go with... In 21, for me, it would have definitely been Ben White to begin with, just because of the value. But now I'm not so sure. With Tomiyasu probably returning, I think he's going to be competing for that right back position for White. I think against trickier opponents, Arteta plays Tomiyasu as well. So I feel Gabriel is probably going to be the more solid option. Heck, it's Bamford. He might get stretchered off again. Not that I want him to, but yeah, I know... This is the point, is that realistically, Rodrigo's only threat is, it's pretty much like Greenwood, Gelhardt, Bamford. Greenwood plays in the midfield anyway at the moment when he plays. I don't feel like Gelhardt gets the nod. I don't even know if he's injured or available, I'm not sure. But Rodrigo pretty much leads the line. So he's an out-of-position midfielder, great underlining data. It's West Ham that is playing as well, at Ellen Road. I feel like this could be a 3-0 Leeds, to be honest. But yeah, I think going back to the Arsenal defence, I think I would probably go with... I'd really like Zinchenko to get some more minutes. If Zinchenko gets a lot more minutes, then I think he's definitely my number one, as he would definitely play ahead of Tierney for me if I was Arteta. So Zinchenko's probably up there. But if you want solid minutes and you want the guarantee of 90 plus, then I think Gabriel is probably the shout. Or Saliba, really. It's one of the centre-backs. Keith, Saka and Mount really want free Arsenal as they look so good. Also going Newcastle. Think they both are the real deal. Yeah, no, I agree. I think both teams look really good. I think Saka and Mount's positive. I'm not. Mount's probably a little bit more short term though, right? Saka you're probably going to hold for a very long time for Arsenal's doubles. Mount, I would say you could easily go to Trossard from him if Brighton double, maybe even McAllister. Save even more money. And this is what I'm talking about value options. McAllister's a real threat. Like, he's just won the World Cup. He's on penalty duty for Brighton as well. Like, on his return, I'm genuinely consider him for a double ahead of Trossard. So I don't think Trossard plays well as a number 9, if I'm honest. Laterizer kept Foden. This is where he scores 30 points in the next 2 weeks. Well, listen, I genuinely do believe that Foden will start against Chelsea and probably do some damage, but I can't have him in the team anymore. It's just so painful. Keith could have just transferred one in, but really sick of City, and they actually don't look as threatening at the moment. Yeah, I agree. I think KDB on different days, though, he definitely scores us 10 points last game week. And then the game week before that, I think he scores us 7 or 8. So I just think the variance is killing you, yes, but I think my long-term hold is KDB for now until we get maybe news of Liverpool doubles. Bring back the Bamford that got a hattie on a Friday night game against Villa. Mate, Bamford that season... Damn. I think it was the first season, wasn't it, when Leeds got promoted. That man, Dallas as well. Dallas. Mate, the thing is, when they got promoted from the Championship, genuinely in my work mini-league at the time, I was saying, just look for Stuart Dallas. Just watch this man, because he's basically a midfielder, and then he went and had one of the best seasons in FPL ever. He was like a Lundstrom, right? Yeah, probably Gabriel also got 0.4 XG again last game. Yeah, 10 goals in 90 games for Arsenal. It's not... I mean, look, it's not perfect, but it's one of the highest centre-back XGs that you can probably get. I think he's a very, very good attacking threat. And the second, third best defence in the league, right? So I think Gabriel's probably the play. Like I said, though, if Zinchenko starts getting more solid minutes, I genuinely think he could be an option. He nearly scored, didn't he, against Brighton as well, Zinchenko. Sanchez just saved it. He found himself in the box. Mount just this week, punt. Done it before the Forest game, so wish I hadn't. Yeah, I mean, I think they could do something, Chelsea, in this double, but I'm just not convinced, which is why I didn't captain them. Been saying that for the last few weeks, same as people holding Darwin. You can't keep holding them, especially KDB. Yeah, I get it. I said it in my selection video, though, right? Like, £20 million of my team, literally nearly just under a fifth of my entire team value was in De Bruyne and Foden. And they both scored me 1 point. Like, it's an absolute killer. And I think Salah could really do some damage again against Brentford here. Then, they're a good side. Brentford away is not an easy fixture, but I don't know. We'll see what happens, I guess. Leeds are fun to watch, yeah. I think with Dallas back, it will definitely make Leeds a little bit more... I don't know. They've obviously suffered with injury. I hope they stay in the Premier League. I mean, obviously there's rivalry between United and Leeds and has been for a long time. But they're a team that excite me. Like, I genuinely like watching the Bielsa-style football. It made some really, really good watching from a neutral standpoint. And to be honest, I think at the moment, under this American boss, right, they're still doing all right. Not if Gandhi drops a nuke, yeah. Well, this isn't really an early kickoff, is it? It's an evening kickoff. So it's not the 12:30. If it was the 12:30 kickoff, then yeah, definitely nuke would be well on its way from Gandhi, mate. Keith, just going 5 really cheap defenders. No one seems to be keeping clean sheets. So I'll forego the odd attacking points from a defender to spend the budget elsewhere. I think that's the perfect situation. And this is why I went to Botman. Like, people were so, like... Maybe I say people were against it. They weren't, because some people followed the move, right? I feel like it was a good positive move. But I saved 1.4 million going from James to Botman. And look, he got me 6 points straight away. I just feel like there's so many good options now in the midfield and attacking positions that we can't go for Trent, Cancelo, and maybe James is like an okay price point, right? It's just under 6 million. It's not too big of a deal. But you're right about the clean sheets. It's just been woeful. Michael B. Jordan effect for Rashi. That's what early kickoff means. Yeah, it basically just means it's the 12:30. It's always on that first Saturday kickoff. So yeah, I can understand that. If the time zone's different, that's going to be obviously a little bit strange for you. But yeah, that's the early kickoff. Because you've got to think, like, of course, logistically, for this country, we're not massive. But if you're, let's say you're Harry Kane and you've got to travel from London all the way up to Newcastle, of course they do travel normally the day before, but the chance is it's just that kind of, they've gone in the evening, they've then had to they've probably had a training session as well. It's a long day. It's that killer of like, they're probably having to wake up 8, 9 a.m. They then have to travel to the ground. They get all the preparation done, everything else. It's just that early kick-off situation where, because they've travelled so far, I mean, they probably fly, right? It's Premier League clubs, so maybe I'm just reading into it incorrectly, but that's how I feel like the curse happens. There's just like that little bit of lag. Keith, I'm really thinking Trippier, Botman and Share, White and Bueno going forward. I mean, a triple up on Newcastle defence could be the way. The only issue I've got with that is, of course, it blocks Almiron and Wilson. Now, they're two individuals that I want to keep an eye on. I'm glad that Almiron's not obviously smashed for the 2 weeks in a row. Of course, it was inevitable, I felt like, that he was going to score in 17. But the fact that he blanked last week was very good, and I'm hoping that he does the same this week as well with his ownership. Genuinely thinking of triple Newcastle defence for a bench boost. There you go, so you're in the same situation. I think it just depends on when the double game week is and how we can plan for it. I definitely can get on board with it. But I just think that once we get the announcements in the next few weeks, then yeah, we can definitely start looking at a bench boost. Game week 25 is a likely City blank, and one of Newcastle and United probably going to make the final as well. Yeah, indeed. We're probably going to have 6 by game week 23, so Bueno stays in the team. Yeah. I mean, he seems to be getting that 60-minute mark, right? And to be honest, that's really the ideal situation for Bueno. Because if he does reach 60 minutes and Wolves manage to keep a clean sheet in that time frame, then brilliant. I'm not sure how much the return of Johnny's going to have an effect on his minutes. But I definitely feel like he's 3.9 million. Like I said in the World Cup Wild Draft videos, it just made sense. Like Patterson is probably a little bit more nailed than him and gets more solid minutes. But that 0.1 could prove pivotal at some point. Like right now I have 4.3 million, so I'm literally swimming in cash. But I didn't know that. I didn't know that this was going to be the play, right? So I think Bueno is a good option still. But yeah, I can't wait for the announcements of the doubles really, because then I can properly start planning. We've got a bit of a break now, obviously, between 19 and 20. It'll allow me to put out a little bit of a guide or some content out there for you guys to digest on how to plan for the next few weeks. Maybe taking some aggressive -4s as well. You know, we can look at all that stuff. So hopefully the announcements happen soon after the FA Cup fixtures. Never getting Almiron, only 2 up front, so you don't think Wilson ever comes in. Fair enough. I think that I just feel like 3-5-2 at the moment is really good. I may end up towards the back end of the season, though, once again going 3-4-3, which is why I mentioned Wilson. But I understand that. Bueno was one of the best on the pitch for Wolves. Yeah, I mean, move aside Nico, yeah. Absolutely. For 0.1 million cheaper. Nico's getting benched now anyway, right? I mean, Aurier scoring that goal as well was just probably put even more pressure on him. So I think going with Bueno to begin with was the right move. But anyway, guys, where are we at? 4:25. Listen, 1 hour till kick-off. Enjoy it, the game week. I hope it's a fantastic week for you, to be honest. I mean, there's a lot of, obviously, differentials out there this week in terms of captaincy. Loads of decisions that we've made. Of course, yeah, fingers crossed I don't get too big of a red arrow here. I feel like there might be a little bit of a dodgy one, but yeah, we'll see how we get on. Of course, like I mentioned, if there's double game week announcements, then I'll try and get on creating content for you as quickly as possible. I'm pretty much returning to work properly from tomorrow, right? So the Christmas period, all the fun times have ended. It's back to the grind from tomorrow. So I may not create as much, but of course I will always live stream on a deadline as well. As long as there's no kind of family issues or work problems, then I will always be here. So thanks again for joining, guys. It's been a phenomenal stream. Good luck to you this week. Obviously, yeah, Happy New Year to all of you again, and thank you to all the new subscribers to the channel. We've grown so well. It's just been literally growth after growth each stream, so absolutely loving it. And yeah, we'll see how we get on. Gakpo has not been registered in time to play for Liverpool tonight, so no Henderson either, no Tony either apparently. Could be an interesting game then this. We'll see how it goes, but enjoy it, guys. Like I say, I'm out. I'll definitely be back for a Game Week 20 live stream, and I'll try and put out a few videos in between. There'll definitely be a team selection video. Hopefully there'll be a video on double game weeks as well on how to attack them if we get some announcements. And yeah, hopefully I will see you in another video soon, guys. But yeah, thanks for tuning in once again. Massive love to all of you for the support. It's really, really, it just blows my mind every time that you listen to some absolute boomer waffle about FPL, right? But here we are. So thanks for joining. And yeah, I'll see you in a video soon, hopefully, guys. Take care. All the best. I'm out.